This is the Tom Barnard Podcast. Listen live weekday mornings, 8 to 9:30, or anytime you like as a podcast on the Tom Barnard app at tombarnardshow.com or wherever you get your podcasts.
There we are. Now I can actually see you and everything.
There we are.
And you just popped up. So that's working beautifully, baby. As time moves ahead, everything's wonderful. I was just looking at the news this morning. It's everything's bad news. I just want you to know that. So don't even bother reading it because everything sucks. Everything's horrible. Everything's bad. Senate Republicans fail an attempt to expel Woodbury DFLer facing burglary charge. You got our governor's having a bitch of a time. Fresh off VP loss, Walz returns to Minnesota to face a stark new political reality. What is the stark new political reality? I didn't read the story.
I'm not sure.
I don't know. I feel like locally everything kind of feels like it's been the same, but I would be curious to see kind of what his reception has been as he comes back from thinking he was going to be the vice president to now dealing with Minnesota related stuff.
Mm-hmm. Is he going to do the shuffle and dance like he did during the whole campaign?
Yeah, he's probably going to have to shuffle and dance a little bit for us.
I was thinking about that when I saw this picture this morning. There are about 3, maybe 4 politicians in the United States that I like. I don't care, Republican, Democrat, but it's all about them. It's getting really old, I will tell you that. And I think, I don't know, as it goes on, it's just, why, this is what we got. This is the best we got, huh?
Yeah, which is sad because it feels like nothing really happens efficiently, but we've got all these, the right people are in place, but
are they?
It just feels like nothing really ever changes.
It just amazes me that the people put up with this crap. Honest to God, like I said, I didn't vote, and a guy criticized me. But voting is digital now. Well, not when you're on the move. I was on the move, and they had to send me a ballot in order for me to vote. So, sorry I didn't tell you the whole story before you went after me there, pal.
Yeah. And this isn't like that one movie where like you weren't the only person that didn't vote, and Tom, your one vote could have changed.
Oh, swing vote.
Yeah,
swing vote, baby.
The landscape. Yeah,
I got to get a swing vote going. Yeah, I don't know. It's just one of those situations where people are really acting weird right now, and I don't know what to tell you. I do know this. The one thing I did predict on the Family Show before the election even took place, I said if either one of them wins, obviously one of them's going to win, but no matter which one wins, there are certain publications, and there are more publications that are Democrat than Republican, obviously, but there are some Republican, I guess. But if they win, Tim Walz wins along with Kamala Harris, they can do nothing right. And if Donald Trump wins, oh my God, it's horrible, and he can do nothing right.
Yes.
What good do they think it does the American population to tell us if half the population, no matter who wins, is going to say this is a disaster and we're never going to make it through this?
Nobody wins. That's the one thing that
amazing.
Blows my mind every election cycle is that no matter, yes, everybody probably has one person they want to win over the other, but like at the end of the day, we should be all working together to make America a better place, not trying to sabotage one presidency over the other. And there's, like if there's things that are, completely wrong and like we're on the brink of war or something, okay, yeah, like, but let's not, it's not just because your person didn't win, it's not going to be the end of the world necessarily.
Right. And the media, television media is not going to help either because I was watching it this morning and I won't say which channel it is, but they're all garbage anyway. I mean, honest to God, you look at Fox, CNN, all of these other, they're all garbage because they all got their own. And I won't even say which network it was on, but I was watching a national network show this morning, and the anchor on the national news said the man entered the business brain dishing a weapon.
Was he?
Brain dishing.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Brain dishing.
Teleprompter might have had a little bit of a typo there.
Oh, so you think it might have been a typo by the guy, the producer?
Yeah, it maybe. I don't know. If it was like a newscast, like a national newscast, not one of those like kind of, I guess, like a round table discussion shows, from my understanding, they kind of just read off the prompter, and I know some
Sure.
people go
Yeah.
full like Ron Burgundy. I don't know if you've seen that movie,
yeah.
but like his kryptonite was whatever's on the teleprompter, he's gonna read it verbatim. Like he's great at his job, but
there you go.
You know, if somebody accidentally typed brain dishing instead of brandishing, then maybe also might have just been a little flub. But also, it's the national news. You're supposed to be there for a reason. Let's tighten it up.
Yeah.
Well, one question I do have, if you saw BRAIN dishing, wouldn't you know, oh, yeah, they put an I in there, it's brandishing. There's no such word as brain dishing, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So you just read verbatim, even if it was on the teleprompter, she still should have said, ooh, I tipped it off that it was a woman that did it. Didn't mean to do that. But brain dishing. Have you ever heard the word brain dishing before?
I have not. And usually, because the mind is a powerful thing, and you can read words that are spelled wrong, but still say the right thing. Like if you've ever seen those puzzles where you're like, oh, you read this sentence and didn't even realize that I put an extra I in the word at the beginning. And so I feel like, they should have been able to understand that it was brandishing, but I guess, their brain didn't dish up the right word for them.
Did not dish up the right word. That's like, look at you working the angles.
No.
But I just, like I said, I don't have a dog in this fight because I didn't vote. And I actually have decided I'm never going to vote in an election again because of my age. I have nothing to win or lose by voting anymore, unfortunately. And that's not the reason, but I'm turning the vote over to younger people. You bring in whomever you want because you're going to be around for the long haul. So I don't think anybody over a certain age should vote. If you got nothing to lose, you got nothing to lose, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough. I don't know. I guess
I'll push back a little bit on that because I do think that if you're a citizen and you live in the United States, you probably have some sort of say. But there is, I think, maybe if you are on life support and you know that this last week is wrapping up. Also, I mean, you're not going to go head down to the polling station yourself on two legs, but I don't know.
No.
I would say that no matter your age, you probably deserve a say, but I would say you're also more than able to, like you're saying, you can abstain. You can say, you know what, I'm willing to not submit a vote. I'm not going to head to the ballot box, and that's just fine too.
Yeah, and especially because other cultures, I feel like put a little bit more respect on the older generations, whereas maybe America doesn't as a whole do it as much as other people, and so it can be a little bit of a thing where maybe you have to vote even at an older age just to make sure that you at least can protect yourself a little bit if something comes out of left field. But I understand where you're coming from.
But I found out I thought that same thing, but it never happens. That's the one thing I will tell you as time goes by. People helping other people is disappearing. Everything's about me, more me now. That's really too bad. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and oftentimes if you help somebody, even if it's holding the door open a little bit longer to let somebody that's running in, or I saw somebody was getting a bunch of packages in the door here at the studio one day,
right?
And kind of help them shuffle some things in, and they look at you confused, wait, you're taking 30 seconds out of your day to do something nice for somebody, and it's
what?
You need to do that more.
We just had that conversation yesterday with a guy I've never met. We're holding doors for people and saying excuse me and stuff. And he finally came over to me and said, we got to be the only two left, man. And that's just about, I went to dinner last night too, and the food was phenomenal. The server did a great job. I asked the server, would you ask the manager to come over? And he goes, why? I said, because I want to tell him you did a good job. He assumed I was going to rip him. Isn't that amazing? He did a great job, did a nice job. The food was wonderful, but the assumption is always negative now.
Yeah.
It's always, you're going to, but then the manager came over. I talked to him and I told him the food was wonderful. Service is great. This kid, his name was Cameron, really, really nice guy. And I said, it's so sad that you were shocked that I called the manager over to say nice things. Because it just, he said, literally, that never happens, ever.
Let me ask you this. How did you ask for the manager? Did you say, hey, can I speak to that manager of yours, in a nice tone? Or did you grab him by the collar and say, hey, punk, get your manager now.
Get him over here now.
This is the best meal I've ever had. Let me tell you. Woo, that was a relief.
I'm telling you, the food was great, though. But what I guess I'm trying to do is offer an example to people. Can we just at some point be nicer to one another? Is that possible, even?
I think so.
I hope so.
I feel like just take every day, pick one moment to do something nice for somebody, whether it's holding the door open or a bigger gesture. Just do something nice for somebody.
Okay. Well, I promise from now on, I will not brain dish my attitude. I will not. I promise. It's just how it is. We need to take a break here, ladies and gentlemen. Be right back. Which Hunyuk is on today? Now, I forgot.
Days today, Tuesday.
Tuesday.
Judd.
We got Judd, unfortunately.
Judd for the defense. You guys probably don't even know what that is, do you?
I think wasn't that an old like sitcom show or?
No, it was a drama based
Drama,
on
okay.
court appearances and all that.
Gotcha.
Judd for the defense. How'd you like Judd defending you? You mean you got no shot?
Oh no, that's one of those like when your public attorney shows up, he's like disheveled, he's got his hat on. You're like, just
there you go.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, Anthony Edwards last night. Let me tell you about his. Whoa, let's talk about the murder, Judd.
Yeah, there you go. We shall take a break. Be right back. Judd will join us right after this. South Dakota is one of the most business-friendly states in the country, and there's no better place to settle down and take advantage of those incentives than in Sioux Falls. As the state's largest city with a metro population over 290,000, Sioux Falls has low business costs with a high quality of life. I absolutely love Sioux Falls. Great spot. Well, all of South Dakota and North Dakota, actually. There's no state corporate or personal income tax, no inheritance tax, no limits to what your business can achieve, which is a wonderful thing to hear. Look, I mean, the big part for a lot of people is the tax friendliness. Minnesota is it's one of the highest tax states in America, and it's a bit much for a lot of people, especially retired people. They work very hard there. A lot of great health care, a lot of great things, as a matter of fact, in the healthcare industry came out of South Dakota. It's a great place. There's no question. I've spent a lot of time there. Take the tip. I didn't even know this. Listed in the 50 best places to live for families, the fastest growing Midwest metro, one of the best places to raise a family, one of the best small cities for Gen Z workers. See, it's all about you. There you go, right there. National fourth top inbound city people move to. Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. You know, people are tending to get out of the metro areas because it's too expensive. Well, I had a guy yesterday on social media talking about $15 for a dozen eggs. That's a little spendy. How does South Dakota stack up against other states? We rank second in the nation with the lowest cost of doing business, the most business-friendly state, and the best business tax climate. And South Dakota's biggest city, Sioux Falls, is at the center of these benefits. Visit www.siouxfallsdevelopment.com. From Bradshaw and Bryant, Michael Bryant. What's up, Allie?
Oh, not much. Doing my usual thing of telling people they shouldn't be texting and driving. In Minnesota, you can't have your phone in your hands. You can use, hands free, but you can't have your phone in your hands for whatever reason. And that's why they made the law the way they did, so that police officers could see a phone in your hand and you got no excuse for why you got it there.
Do people know that that's the law?
I hope so. I mean, they used to follow it, and then kind of COVID kind of made people forget. And now it's like a freewheeling world out there with cell phones.
Let's say you get pulled over because you do have a phone in your hand and you're not watching where you're going. You got to be in pretty big trouble then, I would guess.
Well, the first one's not as bad. It's the multiple ones, the problem. And once people start stacking them up, then they have a big problem. And then what we're doing in car accidents is we've started bringing motions for punitive damages, because I'm trying to use the civil law any way we can to stop this, because it needs to stop.
Whenever I'd had any problems in my life, who was that I called again? It was like an MB, something like that.
Bradshaw and Bryant.
Ooh, we laughed at the end. I like that. Now we're talking. It is time for Wellshire Alzheimer's and Dementia Care Facilities. Wellshire Alzheimer's and Dementia Care Facilities, memory care facilities, as a matter of fact, are a place where your loved one will live with pride and dignity, which is very important, obviously, to your family. If you care deeply about someone in your life, Wellshire is the place I highly recommend. Wellshire is a memory care-focused facility that has a full nursing team always staffed within the building, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. They have never used or relied on any staffing agencies. Wellshire of Medina is now accepting elderly waivers after 12 months of private pay. I know them personally, have for a long time. Like I said, I've told you before, 2 generations. And they are a family-owned local company conveniently located right in Medina and Bloomington. They're the best staffed memory care facility in the state, as a matter of fact. Wellshire has a robust community with activities 7 days a week. If your loved one is in need of memory care, please, all you got to do is get in touch with my friends at the Welshire facility, set up a tour, or learn more at welshiremn.com. That's WEALSHIREMN.com.
You're listening to the Tom Barnard Podcast.
We're back, ladies and gentlemen. Ooh, look at that. We're all tied up with that blue on blue, baby.
You like it?
I like it a lot, except I'm wearing a black hat. I thought I was wearing a blue hat, but I'm wearing a black hat with, well, I suppose my shirt's part gray and part blue, so I guess I can get away with it.
Oh, absolutely.
Matching all the colors, everything, all the rest of it. That's cool. All works. So what's happening, Pally?
Well, let's see. Timberwolves played last night. They played a really good first half. They played a really uninspired second half, but they won the game.
Oh,
they are
that's
now,
good.
get this, 4 games over 500 for the first time all season. All season. They've never been able to get as many as 4 games above the 500 mark until now. So that's the good news in Minnesota sports.
How many years have we had the Timberwolves now?
89-90 was the inaugural season.
Was it really? So it's 35 years already?
Yeah.
Oh my God! Can you seriously think about that? 35 years ago. It does not seem like it was 35 years ago.
No. I was when they played their first game, I think I just turned 20. And the last 35 years has flown by comparatively.
Boy, you got that right. Is there any chance that maybe some century, maybe in the next 35 years, they might be able to win an NBA title?
Sure, there's a chance. Sure.
There's some enthusiasm right there.
Do the basketball gods indicate that might take place? Not so much, but sure.
No. What is it about Minnesota teams? You would think when the Lakers left here, the Minneapolis Lakers left here, became the Los Angeles Lakers, they were one of the best teams, if not absolutely the best team in the NBA. Minnesota is the hockey state, have never won a title in hockey.
Yeah, no stealing.
Well, I mean, the college has, but
Right.
not at a professional level.
Right.
Baseball team won a couple, which was great. That was at the beginning of basically my time at the Q, and that timed out perfectly for your boy here.
It did indeed, yes.
It really did.
It was fortuitous.
It was fortuitous, ladies and gentlemen. But I did predict before that season started they were going to win the World Series, and everybody said, "You're nuts. There's no way that team can win the World Series." I said, "Well, we'll see." Look, I just looked at all the other competition. None of the teams were that good, to tell you the truth.
Yeah, that was at the time, especially that '87 team. That was a ballsy prediction there because I mean the Twins had popped up in '84 and made a small run and then of course got drilled in Cleveland near the end of the season. But yeah, to forecast the '87 Twins winning the World Series is something.
It was great. 87-91, it was a hell of a period. Haven't won a damn thing since, which is now 34, 35 years ago. But I guess that's just the way life is, right?
Who's counting?
Who is counting? And then, by the way, I got to pass this on to you as well, because I
Yeah.
already told Tevin and AJ that I was watching the national news this morning, and the anchor said the man was brain dishing a weapon.
Oh, you hate when someone brandishes the weapon.
Don't you hate that?
Brandishing is bad,
Yeah,
but
yep.
brain dishing, I mean, that's a whole nother level that you've got to combat at that point.
Much worse. There's no question about it. Now, Tevin thought maybe it was spelled out with the I in it, but still, if you read a teleprompter for a living, you'd be able to edit that as you go, don't you?
You would think so.
Maybe
But
not.
that is absolutely so. So I heard, I think before I joined, I think I heard part of a discussion about the price of eggs. Can somebody explain to me how eggs have become the lightning rod of this country?
You're right.
How have they become like the whipping whatever, no pun intended, or yes, there is a pun intended, but like, why are we so focused on eggs?
I guess because what do they used to be, like $1 a dozen or something? I
Sure,
don't know.
but I mean, if you can eat eggs, awesome. If you can't, okay. Like I like eggs, nothing wrong with eggs. You can scramble them sunny side up.
Sure.
Omelets are great, but I mean, eggs are now like talked about like they're live or die. Like if I can't have eggs, I'm probably gonna die.
I don't think that's going to happen. Did you see that? What Jude just did to me? Jude came walking in the studio.
I
I
saw
put
him,
my
yeah.
hand down to pet him, and he avoided my hand. What the hell is that?
Well,
What
it
are
looks
you
like he's back in the picture. He's checking things out,
Yeah.
and now he's
He's
going to
gotta
walk
leave.
right back out to go see Mom.
All
Done.
right, Ma. Got to go see Mom. See you later. Nice talking to you. But honestly, God, he avoided. He circled the
said,
wagon, so I couldn't pet him. What
Look,
the hell's that? You what?
He said, "Look, but don't touch."
Yeah, look, but that's exactly right. Look, but don't touch, man. So yeah, I just it's been trying to watch some sports and all the rest of it, and it just it's good that the Timberwolves are won 4 games. What would you say? 4 games over 500 now?
4 games over 500, first time all season long.
God, that's amazing. That is absolutely amazing.
Yes, it is.
And so basically, we got a basketball team that's coming on, and then we're also in a situation where it looks like we're going to sell the baseball team in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, like I would say the baseball team the sale won't be closed once they do pick a person or a group until the summer at some point in time. But I would not be surprised if we get an announcement in the next, it probably more than a couple of weeks, but next month plus.
That'll be the deal.
Yeah, because it sounds like there's multiple suitors.
Oh, really?
And they've got to pick one. So yeah, well, you know what? As crazy as it seems to want to own a baseball team in 2025, all of these things, especially if you're a billionaire, are really fun toys.
Well, that's exactly what it is, too.
Yeah.
It has become a fun toy. It's not an investment in anything here or there or whatever. It's just a nice toy, and it shows you just how rich I am.
Yeah.
That's a
Oh
big part
God.
of
Yeah.
it.
Yes.
It is.
Yes.
It's true.
Now the one difference to that whole thing is the private equity firms now who just are trying to spend, right? They are getting involved in sports as well. So, but I don't know that the Twins are going to be sold to one. So,
Right.
that's the one thing is they actually are involved, and I don't think that they are doing it just to have a toy. But I think we're going to see, a couple of billionaires get this team and probably, hopefully, spend some money on it.
Is there anybody that you would pick of the? How many groups are there? 3, 4 of them, something like that.
We don't know. The only one
Don't
that's
know,
been
okay.
reported is Matt Ishbia, who owns the Sun. The Suns, his brother Justin, who lives in Chicago, supposedly wants to buy a baseball team, and they're both, billionaires. So
The big
that's
money.
the one guy that we know. But I would guess that I would guess at the end of the day they'll probably choose between 3 or 4 groups.
I just brought this up yesterday, as a matter of fact, to the fellas, but it was kind of amazing to me. But they're building I don't even know what you call them. They're towers. I guess they're all they're not buildings anymore. They're towers now. But the top floor of this new building, you can get the apartment on the top floor for only $14.5 million.
Where?
Right on. Well, it's just on the Intercoastal.
That's it?
I'm telling you, $14.5 million for an apartment.
Yeah, well,
Basically.
there's also a $35 application fee that you have to pay. But
Yeah.
Exactly.
And laundry's not free.
no, coin laundry.
It's costing way too much. That's all I'm saying. Catherine and I kind of checked through after seeing that kind of a price, because maybe you guys are now you're not old enough to remember this, but when houses first started costing in a normal neighborhood, not out in Richville and all that, but houses went over $100,000. That was like, holy Hannah! That's $100,000 to buy a house. And now, of course, it's $14.5 million. So it made quite the jump in the last, let's say, 40 years.
I bet that's a great view, though, huh?
Oh, I'm sure.
For 14.5? Get a really good view, Tom.
Do you think that the only way you can park your car in the building is if it's a Rolls Royce?
Well, if you don't have one and you pay for that apartment or condo, I've got serious questions about if you can really pay for that apartment or condo.
Well, I suppose that is true.
So
Get
you're
that
probably right.
Chevrolet out of here. Get that Ford out of here. We don't need that. So, it's the team's going to go for what?
Oh, it's gonna go. I've seen the price estimates. I I forget the exact, but I mean, it's going to go for, about what, 10 times what the poll ads paid, or 50 times what the poll ads paid.
What have we gotten to the $2 billion mark yet?
Not for the Twins, I don't think. No.
No.
It says but Forbes estimates them to be worth about 1.7 billion.
Ooh, they were close. They got close.
Yeah. And we've definitely gotten there with some teams, but not the Twins.
Oh, yeah, no question about it. But I mean, that's good. The Twins, Twin Cities, I meant to say, have done a good job with all the teams, all the rest of it. We got, there was a time we didn't have any basketball team, didn't have, there was no hockey team for many, many years. North Stars started like 65 or something like that?
67, and they left after
67.
93. Yeah, we were without a pro team for 7 years.
Yeah, I mean, it's just rather interesting. So things are looking pretty good overall for sports in the Twin Cities then. That's what you're saying?
Yeah, as far as stability goes.
Right.
Aside from the fact that the Wolves are going to need a new building here, and it's interesting, as nice as the X is, the Wild wants major improvements as well to theirs. So there's always something going on, like the political, hot potato of who's going to pay for what and who needs what is constant. But yes, for the most part, I think we're in good shape as far as stability goes. I think that's fair to say.
Well, so that's a good thing. I mean, you guys go to the games and all that stuff?
Yeah, I just can't win a title.
Not so far.
Or even get to a World Series, Stanley Cup final, NBA final, Super Bowl.
But it's only been 34 years since the last World Series.
Yeah, and in the Vikings case, it's been, 1977, right? January of 77 for their last Super Bowl. So, I mean, besides that, it's going outstanding.
Isn't that amazing when you look at it as over almost 50, not over, but almost 50 years ago?
Yes.
Jeez.
And that does feel, unlike your Twins comparison of the last World Series,
right.
That does feel that long ago.
Oh, it does. Absolutely.
Like that's not one where it's like, boy, just yesterday it seemed like January of 77.
Yeah, that was a good period. Was that all in the 70s, all four of them?
Yeah, because they got into,
yeah.
I think the Kansas City loss was 70, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then there were a couple, yes, they have not been, so yeah, they all occurred within like a 7 or 8 year period, and they have not been back since.
God, that's amazing. That stat that you can go 4 times in 1 decade and then not again for a half a century.
Some people would call it that. Some would probably use more descriptive term.
They could. There's a possibility.
An adjective to describe, like before the word amazing. And it might begin with an F, but who am I to say?
With an ing at the end?
Yes, thank you very much.
Yes, indeed, ladies and gentlemen. Look, I mean, I am a Minnesota sports fan. There's no question about that. I love watching sport. I used to go when Louis Nanny was running the team. You used to go out and watch the North Stars. It was so wonderful. I just had a great time doing it. The basketball team, the Twins team's huge, Vikings huge, all the rest of it. But I mean, to have nothing good going on for the past 50 years at a professional level is unforgivable.
Yeah, I just don't understand. Well, I mean, I do because I've seen the choke jobs, but I don't.
Yeah.
I don't get how you don't accidentally, with all the success too. Like that's the thing about the Vikings is they're not an embarrassment. It's not like they've been awful for an extended period of time. Like the Timberwolves. The Timberwolves, were so bad for so long that it's not inconceivable their lack of being, on a deep playoff run that takes them to the finals. But the Vikings, you look at how good they've been so many times and had some great teams, and you don't accidentally get and it's not like all those teams were blocked by like the Bills now, right? The Bills now are blocked by the Chiefs because Mahomes and the Chiefs are so damn good. But, in 98, you play the Falcons. You were better than the Falcons. In 2009, you played the Saints. The Saints won the Super Bowl, but they were no juggernaut compared to you. Mm-hmm. It's like that's the thing is you've had your opportunities, and it's not like, well, we always ran into player X.
What? Yeah. Well, we just talked about the biggest mistake that Bud Grant ever made in his life just yesterday. you give the ball to Chuck Foreman there, bud. Chuck Foreman's your guy, okay? Nothing against Brent McClanahan. He's a fine running back and all the rest of it, but that ball should have been handed to Chuck Foreman. I don't care if you were trying to do a head fake or what you were trying to do. That's Chuck Foreman's play, and I'll never understand why he ever did that. Never.
And that was early in the game, correct?
Yeah, it was right at the beginning of the game.
Yeah.
And then they just kind of realized that we're just going to blow these guys out. They kind of knew from that point forward they're going to blow them out. So I don't know. Look, I was a big fan of the Gopher basketball team when you had Dutch and Clem. They were doing a nice job. Haven't done much since then. But
they're hot right now. 3 in a row, Tom.
3 in a row, baby.
Playing Michigan State tonight. This is the start of the run.
And that's the whole thing. I love college basketball a lot more than I love professional basketball. And that's because I think that I rooted for a certain team and I rooted for certain players, and then I met those players and they were pricks. So I went right back to college basketball and said, I'll watch this. How about that?
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about Timberwolves either, because they weren't even around then. But it's just that whole thing.
Oh yeah, your Celtics. You talked about that.
Ixday, J.
They had that one player. Was it Tits McGee?
Yeah, Tits McGee. He really took that.
It was that Jerry Sheesting who really got under your skin.
Jerry Sheesting. Yes.
Got under your skin.
That's exactly it. So, well, I'm hoping they bring something together and get. I just don't see it happening anytime soon again, though. Do you? Do you see a team coming on? Well, they're ready to snatch that national title.
Yeah, well, if we're talking about the pro teams, the Vikings should be like the Vikings are always, sniffing around it, but it's been so disheartening that I don't blame people for also scoffing at that. But no on the Twins, obviously. The Wolves, I thought when the season started had a chance, but now it's like I don't think so. The Wild, I don't think so. So, the Vikings are the one constant, light that's how do you not pay it off?
But the problem with that is, had they just missed by a little bit, they got smoked in the playoffs.
I know.
I mean, that's the best. Just killed.
But I think we're closer. Than we realize. I think J.J. McCarthy, put a little offensive line in front of him. We might be onto something here.
Okay. I heard he's good, man. Tevin, I got to agree with you. I've heard the guy's really, really good. So you see it that way?
Yeah, it's a lot of hope at this point, but we'll see if it pays off. So we're fingers crossed.
I'm just hoping we win one title before I have to pick out my headstone, for Christ's sake. How about that?
Yeah, I wouldn't bank on that either.
Oh!
I wouldn't bank on me. I've said this. I don't know. I'm going to get one.
No, it's too bad. It's
AJ might. He's young.
That's true. Tevin, AJ, very young, no question.
Yeah, but I'm not holding my breath either. I think there's a chance we can get one here in the next, 5 years, but at the same time with how it's been, I might die as well before we win one.
I hope you don't, though, because, I'm just hoping. Because if you do, that doesn't give me much of a chance.
I'll be cursing them out on my way out. Put in the grave. The other one.
That should be on your headstone.
Yeah.
That should be, no question about it. Now, let me close on a positive.
Okay.
As far as the NBA is concerned, I will never forget, didn't ever play for Minnesota. That's not the point. Mm-hmm. I'm sitting in the studios over at the Q back in the days. In the door walks Dr. J. And I will never, ever meet a nicer, more courteous, smart, great guy. You guys ever talk to Dr. J? Any of you?
I did not, but fantastic player.
Fantastic player.
What a player.
Great human being, too. Just a really, really nice man.
Really?
I was teasing him, joking around with him. He went right along with it. He was, yeah. Dr. J, there are other athletes that I've met that I really, really like and all the rest of it. But I guess as big a superstar as he was and still is in my mind, even though he doesn't play anymore. Mm-hmm. What a great guy. So.
Well, that's good to hear.
It is good to hear, isn't it? Well, what the hell? Well, now that you got us all depressed. No, not us, but just me.
Well, no, but but then you kicked in with a Dr. J.
Well, that's true.
Story, which lifted the day.
Yeah, no question about it. That's one thing I will tell you about my life. I'm so fortunate all around. Oh, I got to tell you one thing before you go. I'm watching TV last night. I don't even know what the hell the show was, But about 40 years ago, the Peterson family, the musicians that live in Minnesota, Ricky Peterson and I cut a single. He was a whole album at one time. And I played the part of Muhammad Ali in the song. And was called, what the hell was the name of the song again? King of the World. Ricky Peterson, King of the World, Part 1, by the way, was the name of the song. And they played it at some TV show last night and went, oh my God, I haven't heard that thing in decades, for Christ's sake.
Oh, wow.
But there are a lot of people that don't believe that's me, but it is me.
That's interesting.
It was so much fun. Ricky Peterson, I haven't seen him in a billion years, but just a great guy. But it was just you're just sitting there and all of a sudden you hear this and it's like, God, I haven't heard that in decades, for God's sake. That's
right.
But for me to honor Muhammad Ali was the king of the world to me, I'll tell you that. Following that guy's career, whew,
He
the
was
best.
yeah, absolutely fantastic. Absolutely.
No question.
That's awesome.
See, try to end on an up note is all I was
Two
trying
up
to do.
notes.
There. Dr. J's great guy, and I had the
Two
joy
up
of
notes. I
of
tried to
hearing
bring
me
us down, and you wouldn't let me.
No, that's exactly right. But I love the fact that I was able to do a good enough impression of Muhammad Ali to be put on and the thing went like international too. That was kind of cool.
That's really cool. That's awesome. Yeah, absolutely.
What the hell? It all worked out in the end. Judd, are we ever going to talk again about a good sports team?
Not this week.
Not this week, Pally. It ain't going to happen.
It's unfortunate.
Well, we'll keep our eyes on the prize. How about that?
That's perfect. All right,
All
sir.
right, pal. Thanks a lot, Judd.
See y'all later. Bye.
Take it easy. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll take a break. Be right back in a couple of seconds. Who's on now? Like Egert?
Yes.
Yep.
Maybe. Potentially. We'll see. He's like doing he's doing home decorating in that fake apartment he lives in.
Will he be brain dishing a weapon?
Nobody brain dishes better than Chris Egert.
Okay, I'm glad to hear that. Chris Egert will be up next, right after this.
I'm talking with my friends Michael Bilski and Brad Huckle of North American Banking Company. Guys, business owners have had to deal with a lot over the last few years, haven't they?
They sure have, Tommy. We pride ourselves on being able to help our customers with the challenges they face.
Our business bankers are experts and are always ready to help our customers capitalize on opportunities and solve problems.
Loan decisions come quickly because they're made here in the Twin Cities and not shipped out of state like at some of the national banks in town.
This allows our customers to expand their businesses with confidence, knowing that they have our team of experts in their corner.
Okay, so now you give me this big thing at the end. Way to go.
Well, you are the professional.
Oh, I forgot.
Look, I know Brad and Mike, and I trust them with my banking. They've personally delivered on everything they've just said, so why not bank with my banker? North American Banking Company, a better banking experience, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
The past several years have been the craziest in the history of the car business. The pandemic, supply chain and chip issues, all causing extreme inventory shortages that led to, well, predatory pricing. Some dealers charge thousands of dollars over MSRP.
We never played that game. I'm Jim Paul of Valley Buick GMC. We knew that would leave a bad taste in a customer's mouth. More importantly, from an integrity standpoint, it was just wrong.
So what about the current market? You know, inventory and pricing.
Valley has their best inventory in years. Really all the Buick and GMC models. Even the previously hard-to-find Yukons, HD pickups, and Hummer EVs. Plenty of deep discounts. Many with factory rebates and low-interest financing.
Then it's a good time to buy?
It's a great time. We're welcoming our previous customers back, as well as anyone else that felt the treatment just didn't feel right the last time somewhere else.
Valley Buick GMC in Apple Valley and Hastings or valleycardealers.com. Car buying without the bad aftertaste.
Does thinking about retirement make you uncomfortable? Sometimes the anxiety for wondering if you've saved enough can be overwhelming. But what if I told you that you could ease those tensions in just 48 minutes? My guy, Josh Arnold, Mr. Money Talk, can sit down with you and get you on the right track for your financial future. Josh has navigated it all when it comes to uncertain market and economic conditions, and he'll always provide straight talk. Never sugar-coated advice on how to reach the finish line with your retirement goals. Don't let your financial worries give you an ulcer or keep you from calling Josh right now. His 48-minute no-obligation consultation could be just what you need to feel better about your future. Call Josh today at 952-925-5608. Set up your free 48-minute no-obligation consultation. That's 952-925-5608. Investment services offered by Josh Arnold Investment Consultant, LLC Security Investment Advisor. Past performance is no guarantee of future results. All investments must involve risk. You know that. All comments and opinions of Josh Arnold's do not constitute investment advice. I am a paid endorser.
You're listening to the Tom Barnard Podcast.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. News himself, Chris Egert.
What?
Are you going to the gym? What do you got, that sweatshirt on? Is that the plan?
It's a sweater.
It looks like you're in prison.
He's gonna Rocky.
Kind of am.
Kind of am. That's why. I understand completely. So what's happening? Oh, I got to read this, though. Channel 5's Chris Egert is brought to you by Mr. Money Talk, Josh Arnold. Call Josh today for your free 48-minute evaluation at 952-925-5608. And we're just talking about what a wonderful world it is when I just, last night, and again, I think it was like 40 years ago, Ricky Peterson, the Peterson family, very, very talented musicians, all the rest of it. He called me and asked me to play the part of Muhammad Ali in a song that he had written. It was called King of the World Part 1. And I actually heard it last night while driving my car. I haven't heard that song. Hear that? It was on a radio station.
Oh,
I don't
really?
know which one? One of them. Yeah. But I mean, it was a pretty big hit, actually, I think.
You making any money off that?
I don't think so, but I don't know. Maybe I did. I don't know. I have no idea, but it was a lot of fun cutting it.
I've never been in a song, so I just assume maybe you get like a nickel or something every time it airs, or I don't know.
That's probably about right. Yeah,
a fraction of it. It's probably these days. It's probably a 1/1,000,000th of a nickel. It wouldn't actually be,
That's probably true. Tom, we'll get to a nickel in another couple of years. We'll get to 5 full cents.
Right. After it's aired for 500 years.
Indeed. Well, maybe I'll track it down. See if I know you can find it on the internet somewhere. But we track it down. We'll play a little for you.
Yeah.
AJ? Oh, go ahead, Tab.
Oh,
sorry.
No, go ahead. I was just gonna say, yeah, it's definitely on YouTube because I'm looking at Ricky Peterson's from the Smile album or Blue album, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's up there. A nice little jazz song, so we can definitely find it.
Did you hear it? Did you listen to it?
I've heard bits and pieces of it before, but I just
you have
looked it up. Yeah, it's got.
Yeah, I'm trying to find it right now.
It all started because one day on the queue, I said, "Everybody's talking about Joe Frazier," and after that, it just launched, went right through the roof because we were talking about Joe Frazier. God, I loved Muhammad Ali back in the day. As to be a young guy, Muhammad Ali just standing there going, "You don't like it? Tough titty." I love that about him.
Dude was a badass. There's no doubt about that.
He sure was.
And a contrarian and a leader. And I mean, he was the full package, right?
Remember when Ken, what's his name, broke Muhammad Ali's jaw? Was it Ken Norton? Might have been Ken Norton was his name. Not the same Ken Norton, but he broke his jaw and Muhammad Ali went on the Dick Cavett show, who Dick was a really good host of a talk show back in the day. And Dick Cavett said to Muhammad Ali, "My goodness, I saw the blow there, and I don't know if I'd ever gotten up after he hit me that hard." And Muhammad Ali said, "If he hit you that hard, your beneficiaries will still be collecting." It was the greatest. He was the best thing that ever happened to boxing by far.
Yeah,
nobody will ever top that. Oh, I loved him. So what's happening in your world, Pally?
Well, you probably have. Have you seen Bob Dylan at some point in your life, Tom?
I saw him sitting at a bench on Lake Calhoun, but I didn't talk to him. I figured I'd leave him alone,
Yeah.
So I walked past him and kind of nodded at him, and he nodded back at me, but I never did talk to him.
It came out yesterday that he's going to do a concert in April down in Mankato, of all places. And tickets go on sale on Friday. And I'm not really I respect the career. I'm not really a aficionado of his music, but I'm like, God, kind of feels like maybe you should go to that if there's an opportunity, because you don't know how many more times that he'll be here. How much longer he'll be alive. I mean, who knows, right?
No, you're absolutely. Look, any guy that ever started a song with "You've got a lot of nerve." That's how the song starts. I just love that.
Have you seen the biopic that just came out? The
Yes.
Dylan. What'd you think?
Yep. I see. There was no bigger Bob Dylan fan in the world than me. I just thought he was so good at stating what young people felt in those days.
Sure.
And I was, mid-teen somewhere in there when he broke big. But he was so good. It's like, that's exactly what I was thinking, Bob. How did you know that? He was really good at that.
So you liked the movie, or did you?
I didn't see the movie.
Oh, I was wondering
I
if you saw the movie that just came out.
Yeah, I gotta see it because, there's no bigger fan of Bob Dylan than me. I mean, that's the one thing I will tell you. The two references we just made, I was so lucky in some ways. And look, my teenage years were horrible because you had the Beatles, you had Bob Dylan, you had Muhammad Ali, but every city was on fire. So it's like, God. Everything was burning down, but you had great talent, man.
Well, that tension can create, great art, and I think that true. you see that happening. So, in one regard, what a obviously memorable time to be alive and to be in your formative years, and at that age when you're really tuned into everything, But
it was tough to stand on Plymouth Avenue and watch it burn because I was there from the time I was a little boy. To watch Plymouth Avenue burn was a bitch. What was that, 67, I think, maybe?
Not sure.
I think it was 1967, but I can't remember for sure. But it was, I don't know. You're going to go through things like that. The 60s were a different time. Let me put it that way.
Well, and everybody around here is going to remember, George Floyd and everything that happened with that too. And I don't think that'll be one of those dates in the timeline that everyone will remember. But on that positive note, I've got to go. So
all right, Pally. Well, but look, we had a nice conversation. We don't want to talk about the news anyway.
Yeah, Bob Dylan tickets go on sale on Friday. What's the point of that? So
thank you, sir. We'll talk to you tomorrow.
Bye, guys.
Channel 5's Chris Egert, brought to you by Mr. Money Talk, Josh Arnold. Call Josh today for your free 48-minute evaluation at 952-925-5608. We're going to take a break here. Come right back. We'll schmooze right after this.
This is Brett Paul from Valley Buick GMC in Apple Valley. We have always had a professional sales staff on our show floors, but recently have added a few more to the arsenal. Neil Hadding was a salesperson at Valley for over 2 decades. Probably the best truck guy around. He left for a management position elsewhere, but decided to kick back and return to work with thousands of his old friends and customers. It's a similar story with Tim Condon. He spent many years in the sales and finance at Valley before spending time in Alaska, to the relief of many, many friends and customers who returned a few years back. Not a returnee, but a welcome addition to our seasoned staff is Charlie Fink. Charlie followed Neil to Apple Valley to head up the finance department. He is well known to many Twin City car customers after being in the business for over 3 decades. If you're looking for a familiar face or just the face of experience, visit one of these professionals at Jim Paul's Valley Buick GMC in Apple Valley or Hastings, or at valleycardealers.com.
It's time for Bradshaw and Bryant. At this time of year, something that we might not think about, slipping and falling on ice when you're out, or worse, someone slipping and falling on your property. Property owners are legally responsible for maintaining a safe environment for visitors. You can post a caution sign or de-ice the area. Failing to do either and somebody getting injured because of your lack of safety precaution can be considered negligent. If someone does slip and fall and suffers an injury, they have a certain amount of time to file a claim, or you lose your right to collect any damages for your injury. If this happens to you, contact an experienced attorney right away. It's free to meet to go over your case. Contact Mike Bryant of Bradshaw and Bryant at MinnesotaPersonalInjury.com. I hope this never happens to you, but if it does, Mike Bryant is the one I recommend to all my friends and listeners.
Find Bradshaw and Bryant, personal injury attorneys at MinnesotaPersonalInjury.com.
Seeking justice for the injured. Bradshaw and Bryant.
I'm talking with my friends Michael Bilski and Brad Huckle of North American Banking Company. Guys, business owners have had to deal with a lot over the last few years, haven't they?
They sure have, Tommy. We pride ourselves on being able to help our customers with the challenges they face.
Our business bankers are experts and are always ready to help our customers capitalize on opportunities and solve problems.
Loan decisions come quickly because they're made here in the Twin Cities and not shipped out of state like at some of the national banks in town.
This allows our customers to expand their businesses with confidence, knowing that they have our team of experts in their corner.
Okay, so now you give me this big thing at the end. Way to go.
Well, you are the professional.
Oh, I forgot.
Look, I know Brad and Mike, and I trust them with my banking. They've personally delivered on everything they've just said, so why not bank with my banker? North American Banking Company, a better banking experience, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
This is the Tom Barnard Podcast. Listen live weekday mornings, 8 to 9:30, or anytime you like as a podcast on the Tom Barnard app at tombarnardshow.com or wherever you get your podcasts.
We are back, ladies and gentlemen. I was just kind of looking at the news, looking at the Star Tribune, as a matter of fact, and I will read you one word from the top 10 stories in the newspaper. And these are, I'm not just picking and choosing. These are right in a row, the top 10 stories in the Star Tribune this morning.
Okay.
Fresh off VP loss. Second story, Minnesota House stalemate continues. Third story, Minnesota Senate Republicans fail. Fourth story, Minnesota in a housing shortage. You want me to keep going? It's not a lot of good news this morning, I'll tell you that.
The only abundance is negativity, it seems like.
Abundance of negativity is exactly right. Minnesota Senate Republicans fail in an attempt to expel Woodbury DFLer. Minneapolis woman intentionally set apartment on fire that killed 2 last summer. These are the first 6 stories in the Star Tribune website.
Yeah, and then I saw like a headline on KSTP's website where it was like a Wisconsin guy who's getting sentenced because he helped his son hide 4 bodies in like a field somewhere.
Jesus.
I think the last good news I heard was I think over the weekend, actually, New York City had the first stretch of like 3 days without any shootings, and that was like the longest, or at least reported shootings.
Really?
Like, that was the longest stretch without gunfire in New York in like the last however many years.
I mean, I'm kind of glad we talked about this earlier in the show because I hadn't looked at the, either the Star Tribune or the Pioneer Press or any, news outfit. But yeah, the feel to me right now is a lot like what I just talked about in 1967 when, I think it was 67, 66, 67, somewhere in there, when North Minneapolis burned to the ground. I fear it's coming again, man. It just got that feeling is in the air that people have had enough. They're sick of it. I just read you the headline of the top 6 stories in the Star Tribune. Every one of them has a word like killed or failed, or there's not a lot of good news right now. Brooks Bishop Bud, after Trump confrontation, tells Minnesotans, save your worry for others. So you got some worry there, too. So all of that stuff has occurred. So now you're worrying. And then they just go, there's several stories about how much they hate Donald Trump, I guess. Minnesota housing shortage. Is there any good news in the paper this morning?
That's a good question. I'm not sure.
I don't see any so far. Here we go. The 11th story. 4 people, including teens, stabbed. About here, finally, the 12th story. These I read them all in a row, too. I didn't jump around. I read them right in a row. The 12th story, Bob Dylan returning to Mankato in April for his first Minnesota concert in 6 years. Yay! Some good news. We finally made it. I should go down there. I really should. Because Bob Dylan, what a talent that man is. And he's got to be pushing mid-80s now, isn't he? Or at least early 80s, isn't he?
Let's see here.
I would think.
Bob Dylan. Bob Dylan is 83 years old.
Yeah, there you go. So, I mean, I'm not saying the clock's ticking or anything like that, but
the clock's also not ticking.
Yeah, he's
not ticking is a good way to put it.
Definitely
Absolutely.
past his prime. The voice hopefully still sounds great, but yeah, you don't know how many of these tours.
Sounds great. Sorry, that's just...
I don't know. Hopefully he's not knocking on heaven's door.
Oh, here we go.
That's funny. That's not even his song.
Yes, it is, isn't it? That's a Bob Dylan song. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it is.
Knocking on heaven's door. Isn't that how that goes?
Knocking on heaven's door.
I'm pretty sure that's a Bob Dylan song.
I'm almost positive that's not. That's got too much instruments, right?
No, Bob Dylan, but somebody else did cover that song. You're right. I don't know who covered it.
Okay.
Bob Dylan wrote it.
Guns N' Roses.
Guns N' Roses. There you go.
They popularized. So sorry if he wrote it.
No, it was popular before. There you go. But find a book that's not about murder to read or something.
Yes.
Okay.
You know what I actually just watched last night? Now that we're on the topic of Bob Dylan and just other stuff, SNL, it has their 50th anniversary coming up here. I want to say in like mid-February, but they did a 3-hour-long special on the music side of things and like musical acts and like people doing, artists doing skits and stuff and doing the comedy side of things. That was on that was before like your local news last night on Channel 11. It was really, really entertaining. You could tell that there are some artists that Lorne Michaels probably favors than others. Like I'm guessing based off the showing of Jack White that him and Jack White are very, very close. But it was a really cool look behind the scenes of just how busy, especially when the musical guest is also the host, how busy their week is from start to finish. So
I bet it is.
It was a cool way to see the curtain pulled back.
I was thinking about that kind of in the last few days, and it's interesting you brought that up. Who was the best of all time on Saturday Night Live? Was it John Belushi? Was it? I mean, who was it? Are
you talking musical guest or just like
no, one of the people, the cast member? Yeah.
Okay, well, I'll maybe see if I can find a list or something.
Eddie Murphy's had a pretty good career since then.
Yes.
I will say that. John Belushi, I drove past his graveyard. He's buried in Massachusetts for some reason, and I don't even know why. He's not from there. Was it Massachusetts? I think it was Massachusetts. Anyway, sorry.
No, you're fine.
No.
Go ahead, AJ. No, I'm pulling up a list here that is from EW.com. It's like Entertainment Weekly, and they've comprised a list of like the top 25. I don't know what their description of like his best cast members ever, but Tom, were right on the money there. They had at number 1 his 4 seasons, Eddie Murphy from 80 to 84.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And I frankly think that's pretty hard to argue. Like he's so much. He transcended to a different level entirely that like an SNL cast member, I think today, like I don't look at anybody on the show now and I think they're going to reach anywhere close to Eddie Murphy at some point. So
Yeah, that show's not very good anymore, is it? I haven't watched it in years and years. I tried. It just wasn't very good anymore. It was always political, but it's way over the top now for what I'm told. I don't know. I don't watch it anymore. So
yeah, it's definitely gotten much more political just because, like anything else, they go, well, that gets what gets everybody fired up, and that's all the eyes to it. So we're just going to really lean into that heavily. And I feel like early in SNL's days, like they were breaking major stars where it was like you go on SNL, you become famous, and like Eddie Murphy, now you get to go and do all these other great things. Where now they're more so getting people that are already kind of famous and we kind of know them, and so it's not as much of a platform where they're not necessarily as hungry and I need to go on SNL. Like if I'm on SNL, great, but if not, I don't think I'm doing it anyway.
I think also probably the writing is not as like directed towards certain audiences anymore, because it used to be like, just with like different audiences age wise, like if you have 20-year-olds, 30-year-olds writing for maybe a 60-year-old crowd, I'm sure you're not going to see as eye to eye with certain topics and takes and stuff like that. So they're not going to think the same things are funny. Like for instance, there's the occasional sketch that's like, okay, I can tell somebody kind of in my realm of the world wrote this and I think this is funny. I enjoy this sketch, but also the next 4 that I watch after that are like, I'm just going to turn the channel.
There's not many cowbell sketches and Chris Farley, living in a van down by the river sketches that you see on SNL anymore.
That stuff was very funny though. I haven't watched Saturday Night Live in a while. Oh, by the way, I think, Belushi was buried in Martha's Vineyard, I think. Where
I think I remember you saying that.
Which shocked me.
Yeah, and it says that he buried in Martha's Vineyard because he fell in love with the island and bought a beach house there. So.
I understand why he did, because I've been there just once in my life, and Martha's Vineyard is just amazing. You got to go one day in your life. Are there any places you think about, well, I got to get there someday? Because I still got a few of them left that I got to get to.
Yeah, for me, it's the East Coast. Kristen was talking one day about like going through, I think, like Vermont, Maine, or something like that in the fall and seeing all of like and stuff like that. So I feel like a fall trip, get a lobster roll on the East Coast, call it a day.
And I know we got to get to probably Josh Arnold here at some point, but I'm just looking at John Belushi's gravestone here, and Tom, you're gonna love this. At the top, he's got skull and crossbones, boom, boom, boom. It's got here lies. Here lies buried the body of John Belushi. Has the dates and stuff. At the bottom, it says in quotes, "I may be gone, but rock and roll lives on."
There you go.
You gotta love that.
John Belushi. Yeah. We were just kind of looking around because it's such a beautiful area. What they're talking about, it's spectacular. There's no question about it. But you just kind of wander around, and all of a sudden you walk up on John Belushi's grave, and it's like, God, I had no idea he was buried here.
No,
you do. Honest to God, Nantucket is amazing. Martha's Vineyard, that whole area is just spectacular. The food's phenomenal. There are very few, thinking about that, there are very few places I've ever been in the 50 states that didn't have really good, something really good about it, don't you think?
Yeah, I don't think there's, even because people always like to, kind of crap all over Detroit. But you talk to people that have been to Detroit, they're like, oh no, there's still like good that you can find even in, crap situations. Yeah.
I still want to know if I won the title of the last honky at the Top Hat, though.
They probably have your picture like on the wall.
They probably do.
Employee of the month or something like that.
The only white guy that ever came into the Top Hat in Detroit. I love Detroit. The baseball stadium is in a really cool spot. I mean, it's just, it's very urban. And I don't know. I've always loved Detroit. It used to be part of my territory when I was at Capitol Records. So I would go there once in a while. And it just, I don't know. A lot of people, oh, God, Detroit, Chicago. Well, it's real political now is the problem.
Oh, and I love Chicago, too. That's
Chicago's a great town.
No question. I got to be honest with you. I have never been to a city that I said, oh, God, I would never want to come back here. You guys ever been to a place you went, there are certain parts of cities you don't ever want to go back into.
This is going to be controversial.
Oh,
okay. I went here. I want to say 20. No, I got to go back later today. I went here for a buddy's bachelor party in 2021, and it was my first time there. And I've seen it in movies. I love the franchises that have shot movies here. I don't ever see a way that I am going to go back to Las Vegas.
Okay.
I could understand that. Yeah.
One and done for me. And maybe it was just like the group I was with where it's like always like gamble. Maybe if I go see a show and I take, it's not always rushing around, but it's just, it was just a lot of hustle bustle. And I feel like for a vacation, I like a vacation that's like more relaxing. So I don't know if Las Vegas right down the strip is necessarily right up my alley.
And I'll say this for a town, Bemidji, Minnesota. I'm like, if I never go back there, I'm good.
I thought you went to college there.
I went on a recruiting trip to Bemidji, Minnesota.
Oh, that's what it was. Okay. All right.
And then they told me how cold it gets there and where they practice. And they're like, the highlight of our years, I think if they win homecoming or they beat their big rival, it's actually pretty cool. The stadium like goes up to a lake. So they're like, we all run out of the end zone and jump in this lake. And I was like, I don't want to do that.
You just lost all of my interest. That sounds cool, but I'm now officially decommitting from any talks.
Nah, you'll be fine. One thing I will say about Las Vegas, it is one of my happiest moments of ever in all of my career because we did an appearance out there. We used to go out to Vegas every year, as a matter of fact, and it was just the people that listened to the Q morning show. They were just wonderful people, and just like the people that a lot of them listen to this show now, which is very, very nice. But walked out on stage, 5,000 people were in the audience to watch a morning show. I don't know why, but there were 5. And then the other thing is, the very first time we did it, we went to Treasure Island, and it was upstairs, and there were probably maybe like 150 people at that one. That was the very first one. All of a sudden, I hear this commotion, and I had never met him before, and this is many, many, many years ago. In walks Louis Anderson, because he lived in Las Vegas until he died, as a matter of fact, unfortunately dead now. We do miss Louis a lot. I love that man. He was just something else. But here comes Louis Anderson, and he's got like 5 people behind him, each person carrying 10 boxes of Krispy Kreme donuts.
Of course.
He brought 50 boxes of Krispy Kreme donuts.
Saying that was just for himself.
And that was just for him. You don't get it. But I mean, that's the kind of thing that will stick with me forever about Vegas, is running into, every time I went there, I get to spend a lot of time with Louis Anderson and my family, and I miss him. I tell you, every day you think about Louis. He was such a sweet man. That guy was by my mother's side until she died. He was just, he and Toots used to, hey Toots, how you doing, Toots? How's everything? Well, it's okay, Louis. You know, hearing his high voice and her low voice was, yeah, Louis, how you doing? I'm doing great, Toots. How you doing? It was just a thrill. You know what I mean?
And I've met Louis Anderson like a handful of times when I was working at a comedy club. And he was one of those guys where he had every right for how big of a star he was to be kind of have an attitude and be standoffish, but couldn't have been a nicer person on a day-to-day level. So it's a shame that he passed away far too soon, but yeah, I think his legacy will live on for a while.
He did. There's no question. Catherine, my wife, and he got along magnificently. My kids just loved the guy. I do miss him. He died. He was only like 60 when he died, wasn't he? Something like that. Maybe a little older than that, but he wasn't much older than that, I don't think. But I really do miss him because he was just, all of a sudden the phone would ring. Hey, Scholasty, how you doing? I'm not coming to town, but how you doing?
Yeah. He was 68 when he passed away.
Only 68 years old. And he died same time pretty much. We lost a few Minnesota comedians in that year, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, he died in 2022.
God, that was 3 years ago already?
Yeah, coming up on it.
Holy Hannah. Do we need to take a break and then come back with Josh Arnold, or how do you want to do it?
Yeah, let's take we'll take like a 1 minute break here.
Perfect. We'll be right
I just got to get him on the phone here. So
perfect.
Does thinking about retirement make you uncomfortable? Sometimes the anxiety for wondering if you've saved enough can be overwhelming. But what if I told you that you could ease those tensions in just 48 minutes? My guy, Josh Arnold, Mr. Money Talk, can sit down with you and get you on the right track for your financial future. Josh has navigated it all when it comes to uncertain market and economic conditions, and he'll always provide straight talk. Never sugar-coated advice on how to reach the finish line with your retirement goals. Don't let your financial worries give you an ulcer or keep you from calling Josh right now. His 48-minute no-obligation consultation could be just what you need to feel better about your future. Call Josh today at 952-925-5608. Set up your free 48-minute no-obligation consultation. That's 952-925-5608. Investment services offered by Josh Arnold Investment Consultant, LLC Security Investment Advisor. Past performance is no guarantee of future results. All investments must involve risk. You know that. All comments and opinions of Josh Arnold do not constitute investment advice. I am a paid endorser.
This is the Tom Barnard Podcast.
Ladies and gentlemen, Josh Arnold joins us. What are we going to do with our dough? We've decided we're going to piss it all away on traveling to Martha's Vineyard and then going out to Las Vegas. What do you think?
Well, I'm not keen on Martha's Vineyard. I'd go straight out to Vegas.
So you don't like Martha's Vineyard? Really?
Really?
Why? Why don't you like it?
Nothing to do there.
But it's beautiful.
Josh, are you more of a blackjack guy, roulette? What's your choice of game here in Sin City?
In Sin City, I just go and walk around and watch everybody.
Your people watch, okay?
And I just watch everybody. I have trouble seeing the cards, so that eliminates, that. And maybe I might take all of $100 and go play craps.
Okay.
And I'll keep playing as long as that $100 keeps working. When it's working, we're done. They do not build those buildings on the backs of what they pay out in winnings.
I suppose that's true.
Yes. Who would have imagined? The money manager is responsible with his money when he goes to Vegas.
Well, that's a good thing. Yeah, that's a very good point, actually. Yeah, you're very smart with your money.
Yes, the exact reason why people should call Josh.
Sure.
But I will tell you, I do enjoy going to Vegas. It's one of the few places where you never get a bad meal.
Right.
It is one of the few places where if you want to just sit in your room, at least the hotels that I have stayed at, the rooms are nicer than most palatial estates.
That's true. You're right. It is wonderful.
I mean, the bathrooms are bigger than most people's master bedroom.
He's not lying.
No.
You know what? I might have to, as I, continue on with my career here, we might have to start taking trips out to Vegas again. That was phenomenal. God, it was great to be out there. We'd go out there every year.
And I mean, the times that I would usually travel to Vegas was right around Christmas. And there's a lot to do. Stores are packed. Stores are crowded. People watching is tremendous. I'll say it's inexpensive to get there from most places in the United States.
Mm-hmm.
As I said, the food is great, and you're going to hit some reasonable weather if you're a sports fan. You got hockey, you have ultimate fighting.
Mm-hmm.
You've got minor league baseball, and you now have football, and the football team now has an old coach that they just hired.
Oh, now who did they just hire?
Didn't they just hire Pete Carroll?
Yep. Yes.
Oh, that's right, they did. Yeah, that's right. Good move, actually.
So they could be very exciting again. And if you want to bet on sports, you can go bet on any sport, any place in the world, at any of the sports books in Vegas. And on top of that, you can watch the sport you bet on.
One thing Uncle Tom would mention is if you've never been to Vegas and you do go out there and do all the things that Josh was just talking about doing, do it with a good sense of humor, because if you act like a pain in the ass in Vegas, you ain't going to be there for long. No. I will tell you that. You're gone, pal. They put up with nothing like that.
That is true. That is true. But,
and I love it.
I always talk to clients, on my risk scale of 1 to 10. 1 is putting money in a bank or a money market account. 5 is blue chip stocks, and 10 is going to Vegas. And most people kind of chuckle at the 10, and they said, "Oh, we would never do that." And then they asked me about Bitcoin. Okay. Yeah. All right. Well, if you're going to bet on Bitcoin, yes, it might be. That to me is one of the more ultimate speculations around. Or if somebody brings up such things as Melania coin or Doggy coin or any of these others, that's like, oh, come on. Really?
Is that real?
Yes, that's real.
Oh, my God.
I mean, pick up a New York Times and read some of the editorials. Your buddy, the Donald, went out and set up his own crypto coin, and he's $1 billion richer because of that.
Is that true?
I have no idea.
I don't.
But I did read about, somebody came up with a Trump coin, and there was a Melania coin.
Oh, God.
And people are buying these things. It's like, oh my goodness, Doggy coin, 50 50 cents. Oh my goodness. I'm going to put a lot of money there. If it goes from 50 cents to $1, I'm rich.
Double that money. Absolutely. Is Bitcoin still, I mean, I heard about the Donald Trump story and all the rest of it, and I don't know if I believe most of it, but is Bitcoin still a hot item?
Bitcoin is a very hot item.
Really?
And one of my big fears has been, and I've shared this on this show. I know that I've shared it on some other podcasts that I do on Garage Logic, that I am my fear that if there be any big market pullback, should Bitcoin or any of the cryptocurrencies hit the skids, given the amount of leverage that's been involved with the cyber security. And people say, well, what do you mean leverage? You pay cash for these coins. What kind of leverage are you talking about? Well, for all of these cryptocurrencies, or a lot of them, they've been securitized into exchange-traded funds, and or there are a number of companies that own these cryptocurrencies in their cash reserves. So if it becomes, we'll say, part of an exchange-traded fund, they offer ways where you can buy options on the exchange-traded fund. You can short them. You can go long them. You can borrow against them and buy them on margin. Hence, that's the additional leverage. And should they go down, which has happened, and will probably happen again when these securities go down in value, and if you're on margin, and this applies to any security, if you're on margin and the stock goes or fund goes down in value, you get a call from the margin clerk. Either reduce your position to meet the margin or come up with cash. And I'm of the belief that most of the people don't have the cash. So they're going to sell, which exacerbates the downside move. As has happened yesterday in a lot of the chip stocks, with news of a startup company out of China coming up with a open source artificial intelligence product called DeepSeek. I'm sorry, I call it DeepSeek because it definitely DeepSeek semiconductors and assorted companies that were supporting the build out of generative AI. So it's not only companies like NVIDIA, which closed on Friday at $142 a share and opened yesterday at 124, dropping ultimately to 118 at the close on a lot of trading. But it was also companies like Oracle, which was putting money into Trump's Stargate project. Oracle dropped 14% yesterday in value.
Whoa.
Then you take a look at some of the utility companies, such as Constellation Energy, which was down over 20%. Constellation owns the 3 Mile Island plant and was seen as a way to get into the build out of Microsoft's new data center that they're going to develop. And Microsoft stock dropped initially $20 a share, but recovered 10 of that. Microsoft, by the way, reports earnings tomorrow, and there is fear that unless they show some growth in their cloud business, they're going to have some difficult times. Oil companies dropped in value on this generative AI trade. So there was, fallout that went, we'll say, from semiconductors to a few software developers like Oracle, to utilities like Constellation, to energy companies and oil companies, and then also hit some industrial companies like Eaton and General Electric Verona. Both of those were down over 20% on the news. So this was a big crush on news coming from a startup in China that said they could create a chatbot that used less power and cost less to develop than anything that the U.S. had. And I looked at that and said, well, that may be, but it's not, not completely vetted. I'm not sure we're getting all of the information, but if this is so, this will actually be a boost for many companies in the semiconductor industry, because you're actually going to need more higher speed chips to do what this DeepSeek's inference software does. So you're going to need more power or more chips, but maybe you need less power, to operate that. But it does serve as a warning, and here the president brought this out. Hey, the U.S. has got to get on the stick in this technology race. And the unfortunate thing is that the previous administration had done a lot to restrict both the sale of chips and the development of generative AI.
We'll close this morning by pointing out to you, this is your fault that it happened. Your mother made me tear up a couple of days ago. Way to go.
Oh, way to go, Mom. No, I have to tell you something. She had such a time this past weekend. I think she's going to have to sleep for a few days. But I'll have to ask her that later today, just to make sure that she was able to make it out to the golf course.
Yeah, I hope so. Because this is a true story. We had lunch with Josh's family, Catherine and I, and on the way out, Josh's mother came over and gave me a hug and kissed me on the cheek, and I teared up. I thought I was going to start bawling for crying. It was so sweet. We need more sweetness like her in the world. Let me put it that way. We do. We need a lot more of that.
Yeah, she's very sweet until you start having political discussions with her.
Well, that's like everybody else then. That's just how it works. All right, Pally, we'll talk to you later on.
Okay, just real quick, just a lot is happening in the market this week. Plenty of earnings. Make sure you've got some cash on the sidelines because volatility could well increase.
Magnificent. We will talk to you later on. Well, I'm sure I'll talk to you later on today, as a matter of fact. Thanks a lot, Pally.
Bye.
We'll be right back. Kristen Burt up next.
The past several years have been the craziest in the history of the car business. The pandemic, supply chain and chip issues, all causing extreme inventory shortages that led to, well, predatory pricing. Some dealers charge thousands of dollars over MSRP.
We never played that game. I'm Jim Paul of Valley Buick GMC. We knew that would leave a bad taste in a customer's mouth. More importantly, from an integrity standpoint, it was just wrong.
So what about the current market? Inventory and pricing.
Valley has their best inventory in years. Really all the Buick and GMC models. Even the previously hard-to-find Yukons, HD pickups, and Hummer EVs. Plenty of deep discounts. Many with factory rebates and low-interest financing.
Then it's a good time to buy?
It's a great time. We're welcoming our previous customers back, as well as anyone else that felt the treatment just didn't feel right the last time somewhere else.
Valley Buick GMC in Apple Valley and Hastings or valleycardealers.com. Car buying without the bad aftertaste.
For Brad, John Bryant, Michael Bryant. Michael, what's up?
Dealing with another case where a person gave a statement to the adjuster because they thought the person was really friendly.
Is that a good idea?
Well, the problem is they know the law when they call you up. And while you're trying to be fair and you're trying to get help, the reality is there are questions you get asked that the way you answer them make a big difference. And people put themselves in trouble. And when they aren't in trouble, they didn't do anything wrong, but suddenly the adjuster's got a statement that can blow up their case completely.
What has caused people to be so untrustworthy, I guess is the best way I could put it, that take advantage?
Well, insurance companies have hired adjusters whose job it is to deal with unrepresented people. So they're supposed to kind of lure them in, call them every day, see how they're doing. And people are like, oh, I'm doing pretty good. Or the reality is they've kind of adjusted to their problem that they've got going on. So it's not that they're completely better, but the way they say it gets to be a problem. And that's why having somebody who can explain your rights, represent you, make sure that you understand the law before you give a statement can make a big difference in your case.
Michael Bryant, Bradshaw and Bryant. I hosted my show on the radio for 40 years. Now I host the Tom Barnard Podcast. And I'll tell you, I've never seen the passion and engagement from our audience as I do now. I know we also have businesses that listen to our podcast, and it got me thinking. Wouldn't it be great to help those businesses grow by telling my listeners about them? So here's the deal. If you own or handle marketing for a business, would like to have my audience buy your product or service, visit TomBarnardShow.com, keyword partner, and we'll put together an ad campaign to help your business. That's TomBarnardShow.com, keyword partner, and thank you for listening.
You're listening to the Tom Barnard Podcast.
And now to the 60 seconds of Kristen Burt. This is the latest you've ever come on. My God.
I think so. Although it was really interesting listening to Josh's expertise. It's been a really volatile week. And I just wanted to hear what he had to say about the market and the economy and everything else. So I appreciated it.
Kristen Burt Entertainment News brought to you by North American Banking Company. Go to nabanco.com to learn more. Member FDIC, equal housing lender. Why isn't everybody like you? You go, yeah, a little late, but I adjusted. I learned something. Why are you so pleasant?
I'm easy to work with.
You really are.
I am. People will never, I have difficult moments. That is all valid, but I am generally easy to work with.
Now, I want to ask you this because you're from the general area, but Josh does not like Martha's Vineyard. How the hell can you not like Martha's Vineyard?
What is his issue with Martha's Vineyard? I missed that part.
I think it was too boring for him. What do you think, AJ?
Nothing to do there. Wasn't the exact.
Yeah, nothing to do there. That's what he said.
Okay. It's a sleepy area for sure. But there's great restaurants. If you like to, if you're a foodie, definitely fun. The beach is great. Now, I'm not someone, obviously, look at my pasty white skin. I'm not someone that sits out there in the sun all day, but I am someone that enjoys like walking on the beach. I love looking for shells. I used to go crabbing as a kid. Like, there's so many things to do. I know exactly.
I'm assuming
AJ's crabbing imitation was amazing.
Yeah, it was really good. Really good.
But it is a sleepy town, but it's a good place to go and relax. You get a great book and you just hang out at the beach and take a good nap and eat good food.
You know, that whole area, that one street in Nantucket there, right kind of by the airport, I guess is where it is, isn't it? Mm-hmm. If I remember. I love that little area because all of those shops are so nice right there. Don't you think?
They are. But have you been to Kennebunkport, Maine?
Yes.
You have. Okay.
Better.
It is better. I do think Kennebunkport, Maine is beautiful. Did you drive up the coast? on like 93?
No, we did not. I don't even remember how. That was a long time ago. We were just in Martha's Vineyard, I guess, 2-3 years ago, something like that. But yeah, I have not been in Maine in, oh God, I can't even think how long.
Oh yeah, you need to go there. And the window is short. The season is very short in Maine.
Right.
The summer is like, to get warmish temperatures of like 75, you have to go between, say, mid-June to early August. But it's beautiful there.
Well, that whole area, you know what? I got to be honest with you. We just kind of talking about that a little earlier, about how people, I don't like this area, I don't like that area. I liked every place I've ever been in America. I got to be honest with you. A lot of people would never even think of going to Detroit. I loved it. I thought it was
I love
wonderful.
Detroit.
Detroit's
People
great.
are missing out. First of all, another place with a really good food scene. Like if you like food, Slo's Barbecue is always a winner. You don't think about Detroit for barbecue. You think, Memphis or Nashville or Kansas City. Go to Detroit to Slo's Barbecue. You won't be disappointed. Beautiful architecture. The people are amazing. Cool history. I love it.
Yeah, I was trying to think of some place that I've been that I didn't like, but every state that I've been to, I've really liked. I've only not been to a few of them now, but I have liked every place I've ever been.
I don't love Dallas.
Well, I mean, but Texas, there are parts of Texas that you like, right?
Yeah. And I don't like Dallas and Houston, but I love San Antonio and Austin. So,
San Antonio is beautiful.
And another place for people that are going to go. I'm like, I've eaten at every place across the country.
Well, there you
go to Boudreaux's on Riverwalk. It is always a great Tex-Mex meal. And then, the boats go by and it's not too touristy of a place. But quality of the food holds up, which is great.
Don't you think everybody should see the Alamo too?
Yes. And
speaking of that area,
it's shocking that the Alamo is literally like right there.
It is. It's right
you're just
there.
Walking downtown, like past some high rises, and you're like, I just bumped into the Alamo. That was the most astonishing thing. I mean, I was like, what? And then there, right next door is a haunted hotel. I think it's the Emily Mark or something like that. Yeah.
No, everywhere. I didn't like this. I didn't like that. I loved everywhere I've ever been in this country. I love Canada too. Mexico we've been to. Mexico is a little crowded for me because I've only been about maybe 2-3 miles in, so I should probably get deeper.
San Miguel de Allende is
amazing.
Amazing. Mexico City. Did you do Mexico City?
No, not yet.
Yeah, that's another place that is incredible.
Indeed, it's true. So what else is happening in your world, sister?
Well, this week is the Grammys, and the big question, because this is the first big award show since the LA fires, and the producers have been talking about why they decided to go forward, and they said after they got clearance from LA Fire Department, the mayor saying, you know what, it's fine, you can move ahead with the show. It really came down to economics of why they decided not to postpone. 6,500 people work on this show. And it generates $200 million for the city.
Oh, man.
Yeah, that's just one award show, too. That's just the Grammys. Jesus. So they were like, yes, we're going to move forward. Trevor Noah is our host. It is going to take a different tone than maybe it would have had nothing happened. And, they've talked a lot about fundraising, but they said this is not a fundraiser. This is not a telethon. This is an award show with a fundraising component. So they will take out some elements and they will put in some discussions and some clips of what has happened and raise money through their Music Cares. They canceled all of the parties leading up to the event because that didn't feel like the right tone. But I think that you're just going to see they want to celebrate music. Music is healing. Mm-hmm. This is a great way for the community to come together.
That is very, very nice that people are thinking that way. Well, we had to come up with something nice like that. And you didn't even know this, and you did anyway, so thank you for that. But we just read the top 13 headlines in the Star Tribune. The first 12 are all negative. It's like,
oh, no.
Is there any good news out there? Literally, it's all about, things are just not going well right now. There's no doubt about it.
I think the world's chaotic. And I think that this could be a very prolific time for Hollywood if they lean into music and film and TV. And I'm going to make a prediction on this. I actually think that the sitcom is going to make a huge comeback in these 4 years because I think we need a lot of comedy. We need to laugh. Things don't feel very funny right now. And moments like I think the Super Bowl is going to bring, obviously it's a contentious, like it's the Eagles versus the Kansas City again, but something like that actually brings people together all in one day. Music brings people together. And where we can't agree in politics, we can certainly agree about, certain artists playing together. The politics have been pushed aside. I mean, I think about, was it last year that Tracy Chapman played SKOR at the Grammys? I feel like that's what it was. And I mean, you just
Luke Combs, right?
Yes, with Luke Combs. And it was like the most beautiful moment. And you have Black woman playing with this white country dude coming together in the most beautiful rendition of Fast Car. That's what I think the Grammys brings.
Well, let me ask you a question about that. It's interesting you bring that up because just yesterday I was taking a walk and I was thinking about this. If you look at the media, you would think that anybody of any different color, size, ethnicity, sex, whatever, they just don't get along. I don't run into that. I see people together all the time of all colors, of all ethnicities, of all that. People are getting along a lot better than news says they are. And I really wish they'd stop. I really, really do.
I think there's just a lot of fighting on social media. If you spend most of your time there, and I was even just scrolling through late last night. I couldn't sleep. And was scrolling through some social media. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm never going to get to sleep if I read this timeline. Everything just starts to irritate me. And I'm like, this is not relaxing. I'm like, I need to listen to a nice, calm podcast, and just a soothing voice just to get me to sleep. And I think the more you stay off social media, probably the healthier it is. They tell you to go touch grass. That's really a good idea.
I will tell you, because I was on social media when it first came out, and I got off it for many, many years because everybody chirping and blah, blah, blah.
Because you were tweeting in the middle of the night.
Yes. And after glug, glug, is that what you're saying?
I don't know what was happening. I just know that you were tweeting in the middle of the night.
What was that? Anyway, so then I got off it for several years. Now I got back on several months ago now, and I might hop off again because literally 90% of the posts now are very negative. Who needs it?
Nobody needs it. It's not really healthy. And that's why I think the sitcom's going to come back. I think we're going to see more comedy. I'm actually just kind of looking forward to it because in times of trouble, artists have always leaned into creating more art, whether it's paintings or music or TV shows. So I'm kind of looking forward to this. I want to see what kind of comes out of this.
I really loved about it though, looking at it, is social media now, because I did take a several-year break. And then social media now, it's the women that by far drop more F-bombs than the guys do. They do, man. They're dropping the F-bomb about every sentence.
They're mad. We are mad women right now.
Yes, you are. There's
We're
no
mad
doubt about it.
We have a right to be mad.
Well, I'm not saying you don't, but I had never seen that before.
They're
but
mad.
Not a lot of
anymore.
There's some nice stuff on social media, but not very much. It's generally very, very negative.
That's why the cat and dog algorithm is a nice place to be.
Okay.
Cute kitties and puppies.
Yeah,
there's nothing wrong with that.
They actually just added that as a feature in the latest update to TikTok that I know. If you go to your content, there's sliders where it's if you want to see more, animal videos, you can crank that sucker up and scale everything else back. And so you're only seeing that. So yeah, you can kind of tailor that now.
So I have a question. You just mentioned TikTok. It's back. Is it going to stay back?
Yes, it looks like it.
Okay.
It looks like it's going to stay, and it looks like it's being bought.
Microsoft, right?
I didn't think it was Microsoft. I thought it was Oracle.
Oh, okay. Somebody.
It looks like Larry Ellison because it's already on the Oracle platform.
Oh, okay.
So another billionaire, Larry Ellison, will have his own social media platform. Yay for that. And we'll see what happens with it once it becomes American owned. And it looks like the one thing that makes TikTok special is that algorithm because it starts to feed you what you want to see. So if you're someone, Tom, if you were someone I just want to see classic comedy clips, it would just start feeding you that because that's what you're starting to watch. For me, I'm I just want to see little kittens. Okay. So it's feeding me a lot of cat content.
Yes.
But from what I understand, one of the contingencies on the possible sale is that that specific TikTok algorithm will stay with ByteDance, which is owned by China, and will not come to the American version of TikTok if this sale goes through, which could potentially change what makes TikTok special. We just don't know.
Well, will there be an American version of that, do you think? Can they do that?
Yes, but you know what happens in the American version? They just want to feed you personalized ads or things that they think you want to see, but you don't want to see. So if I go through my Instagram account, sometimes I'm like, I don't see the people I'm following. I see these random people. I see ads that they think I want to see. If you look up like one thing on Google, all of a sudden that's an ad, and you're like, wait a minute. I'm like, I just picked up kitty litter. I do not need 16,000 kitty litter ads, you know.
God,
or air purifiers have been. That's been the weird thing. Like the LA fires, I'm getting LA wildfire air purifier like ads, and I'm getting. Do you want to sue the city if you lost your home?
And one of the weird things that I've seen people reporting now with AI being so prevalent is that if you have used like on Instagram, you have taken a picture or a selfie of yourself and you've used their like filters to kind of like maybe modify, touch up how the picture looks. You could get a ad for like a sweater, but then they've captured what your face looks like and put your face on the model.
What?
Yes. So if you don't want that to happen, stop using the Instagram filters for the time being.
Don't do that.
It's getting to a weird place where it feels very unregulated for what they can do.
And for those who are on TikTok, you can go through, there's a couple of tech experts that'll say, start changing your privacy setting now for like Meta. And if you're still on X or TikTok, all of those, Google. And I've been switching those on my iPhone and on my social media platforms, and it helps a lot. So the more privacy, the more, protections, layers of protection you have, the better.
Okay, we'll close with this. Don't really care for what's the Meta guy's name again?
Mark Zuckerberg.
I don't really care for that site. What's that site called again?
Facebook and Instagram.
Yeah, Facebook and Instagram. It's okay. I've been on X for a while. It's really negative. So where do I go?
The library.
Library'd be good.
Yes.
That's a good take.
Whether a library or a restaurant, I don't know. There's not, if you're going online to social media, unless you're seeking out, like sports highlights or in Kristen's case, cat videos, you're going to see a lot of hate on X and Facebook.
I do all of my social media posting exclusively on the Jeremy Renner app.
Jeremy Renner? Okay.
For those of you
that's defunct. That's defunct, sadly.
We need that back. Times are dark.
We do need it back.
There's one woman, and I can't say her name. We'll close with this. The picture she puts up there, if that's her, she's a very attractive woman. She's a very young woman, all the rest of it. But every time she posts, she starts with, "Listen, you mother effers." I'm like, oh, Jesus, settle down.
Tom, who are you watching?
It's on X. It just pops up on X. I don't know. Maybe I don't know what that's all
about. I can only imagine what you are getting fed on X.
Oh, God.
They're going to brainwash you, Tom. Get off of X.
Oh, no, I'm not going to brainwash me, man. It's so incredibly negative.
I privatized my account and now it's dormant. I just am like, I don't want anyone to grab my name. That's why I didn't. Because you lose the rights to your name if you delete. And so I'm like, okay, I'm just going to privatize and just let it collect dust. But
yeah, there you go.
That place is brutal.
Yeah.
Okay, where should I go then? The three of you vote. What site should I go on to just check in and see how people are doing?
I mean, give TikTok a scroll, maybe. I don't know.
Okay.
I agree. I think you should.
You don't have to create content, but yeah, give TikTok a scroll because that can be fun and it's at least new. Or I don't know, watch a TV show. Kristen, I watched the Paradise first episode
with Sterling K. Brown.
It was phenomenal.
Good, right?
Yeah, it was so good. It got a little weird kind of at the end when they realized the big reveal at the end.
The twist. Don't reveal a twist. So, 2 more episodes drop tonight.
Yeah.
On Hulu. So
I'm excited for that.
All right, mother effers. That'll do it for the it's so negative. It's like, God. All right, we will talk to you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow, guys.
Thank you, my dear. Kristen Bird Entertainment News brought to you by North American Banking Company. Go to nabanco.com to learn more. Member FDIC, equal housing lender. Any closing words?
AJ?
You know, just kind of we've taken a little bit of a step away from it, but so I think now's the time to bring it back. Make sure to go online to YouTube and go to the Tom Barnard Show. Make sure to click subscribe and like the latest video for following along with both this show and the family. Post it daily.
Yeah, and subscribers are up, so they're doing a great job.
Go.
The message is getting around, so
keep spreading the word.
Glad to hear it. We'll talk to you guys tomorrow. The family show's up in about 10 minutes.